Paddy, Calcio Mercato today put out a story, and there's two elements to this story. Part one is that Jurgen Klopp is unhappy with Mohamed Salah at Liverpool Football Club and that he would be willing to sell him in the summer. It goes on to say that PSG are interested in buying Mohamed Salah, and that would tie in rather nicely with the picture that's done the rounds over the past week or so. But then the last twist in the tail, Paddy, is that Jurgen Klopp wants to use that money to get Federico Chiesa. So let's start off with point one. Do we think that Jurgen Klopp is unhappy with Mohamed Salah's contribution since his contract renewal?
I should imagine, and I should hope so. The reason I say that is I think it's fair to say since the renewal, the output and the performances haven't been up to scratch. And at a club at Liverpool, we have to hold everyone to a higher standard. And of course, Salah's not alone in underperforming, but absolutely Klopp should be disappointed in his output, as we all are. And we all know something needs to change. But yeah, Klopp wouldn't be misplaced in his unhappiness.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because we can't deny that his output has dropped off. You know, I think even the most ardent Mohamed Salah supporter would have to admit that. I guess the real question is, why has it dropped off? Has it dropped off because of a system thing, because of a teammate thing, or because of a Mohamed Salah thing? And that's where I guess it gets more difficult, Paddy, to give a definitive answer.
I think with Salah's performances, it's a kind of three-pronged thing. I think it could be due with now that he's got his contract, the hunger maybe is not there. I think it's a system thing, and I just think it's a decline thing. It's just an age thing. People can't stay at the top level forever, and Salah's been doing it and so well, but he's dropped off. And I think I personally don't think he'll ever return to the Salah we know and love. I was a big critique of Salah last season, rightfully so. And even though his output got a little bit better, I think his performances were still never that fantastic in the last kind of 6 months to a year.
I can't argue against that. And I've tried to mitigate that by constantly saying I want him through the centre, because we've seen many instances before of Messi's, Ronaldo's, top players reinventing themselves. And particularly Ronaldo's case, when he lost that yard of pace, Salah has, in my opinion, lost that yard of pace. I'm not surprised that the story has come out, Paddy. I just don't know if it's true or not. But I tell you what makes it an interesting talking point is that photo. That photo with Rami Abbas, Mohamed Salah and PSG's president, where they said they were just having a friendly conversation. It was nothing to do with the takeover. So if it's nothing to do with the takeover, and then we have Calcio Mercato saying the PSG would like to sign Salah, it doesn't take too much to start joining those dots and thinking, okay, maybe this is plausible.
Well, I listen, I know the photo itself, that's easy. It's easy for any journalist or anyone to pick up on that and, as you say, join the dots, either Salah to PSG or Qatar to Liverpool, so that's a natural kind of association. There is a world wherein they could just be friends, which is fair enough, but I find it a tad unprofessional for a footballer to be meeting an owner of another club. I'm sure the morality of that wouldn't be liked by Klopp and Liverpool, and I wonder if that meeting itself has come as news as well to Klopp and his team and cast doubt in their mind too. It's a very interesting thing because you never see a picture of Sir Alex Ferguson and someone else meeting like in this day. Like in back in the day, it could have happened, but in this day and age of social media, I think they could have been caught, so to speak. So it does really probe the question.
Well, look at what happened with Arsenal and Mudryk. So Shakhtar got really annoyed at Arsenal's conversations and approach before they received an official approach about that. And there was no picture leaked there of Mudryk sitting there with Stan Kroenke or anything, you know what I mean? And here we have a clear picture of Mohamed Salah sitting with his agent and the guy that owns and runs PSG, or the guy that runs PSG anyway. It is a very confusing situation, and I guess it was smoothed over a bit when we all thought that it was potentially to do with Qatar or QIA buying into Liverpool, but it also doesn't take much, as you said, to put two and two together and see that they could be discussing business.
Fair enough, if it was just Khalifi and Salah, maybe you could pass it as mates, but the fact that Rami Abbas is there as well, the agent is there as well, it does look a bit fishy. But I'll be honest with you, Craig. and it's going to come to some discontent in the chat, I'd imagine. I wouldn't necessarily lose sleep over Salah leaving the PSG if we got a sizable amount of money in and use that. I think his days as a right winger are numbered, and I think we could be better suited to looking elsewhere. And if he wants to go to PSG, and if we can cash in on him, I'm not saying no. And that would tie into the Qatar wanting like an Arab superstar to be the leader of their, it would make sense. All the things they said about Qatar to Liverpool, it makes even more sense for Salah to go to PSG. So I wouldn't, if we got a sizable offer, I'd take the money, honestly.
Well, that was going to be my next question. What is the number for you? Bearing in mind, Salah's 30 now, heading for 31, I think. I'm always terrible at people's ages. He's signed a new deal, so the club have certainly protected his value in that sense as much as they can. Would 70 million be enough for you?
Well, when you initially said, I was thinking 75. That was the ballpark figure, given his age and the fact that he got a new contract, 75 in this day and age, and I'd take him. Now, other fans are going to be very upset with me saying that, but I ask people to take all sentimentality out of this decision. Analyze for what you're seeing. The Mohamed Salah we see perform week in, week out. Can we do better than that version of Salah? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a bit like when Mane, his days on the left wing kind of, depreciated. He wasn't as impactful. He wasn't as powerful. He couldn't beat a man. I think we're witnessing the same thing with Salah. And if 75 million from PSG, merci beaucoup.
I suppose the interesting thing for me is before I make a definitive decision in my head about whether I'd be happy selling him or not, I want to see what he's like when we get Diaz, Jota, Darwin more regularly back. I want to see if he needs people around him and his numbers then perk up again, or if he continues to flatter to deceive, because I don't think anybody can realistically argue against the fact his output has dropped.
But it's not just his output that's dropped. His overall performance is just abysmal at times. He doesn't offer anything some games. Anything. And now people are going to... He's getting marked out of games. And that's because the Klopp system and this 4-3-3 system has been found out. It's so easily voided and nullified, sorry. But you have to... The best players come up with answers to being marked out of the game. So using that as an excuse is silly. That adds to the negativity. If a player can't figure out how to stop being marked, it's his problem. The best players know how to fix the situation. But yeah, I love Salah to bits. In my opinion, if and when he leaves Liverpool, he's top 10 Liverpool players ever and could very well be the top 5 for some people. He could be there, but I love him, but there's no room for sentimentality, and I think we can do a lot better unless he books up his ideas.
So I guess all this again ties into the Chiesa part of it, because Juventus are an absolute shit show at the minute. I think everybody will admit that. They've had their points deduction. Again, it's not a good look for them as a football club. And maybe the likes of Chiesa would be looking for a way out. So what I would say is I'm absolutely very happy about the Chiesa link part of it.
Chiesa is a player I've always admired, always liked. The injury that he just had for Juve halted him, but he's been back and performing. He's been scoring. I love Chiesa. I love his character. He speaks pretty much perfect English already. I love Chiesa. Klopp has been linked to him in his Fiorentina days. We have to look to the future, and we've had players pass through our system, and we've got no money for them. We're not capitalized. Take sentimentality out is all I say. And will Salah get better from this moment? Maybe. Will he ever reach the heights he did before? No. So in my opinion, that's the sign of that's the time to move on, in my opinion. I wouldn't mind keeping him as an option, but he shouldn't. Every week he's an out and out starter. He's guaranteed to start, but he doesn't deserve to. His performances do not deserve that. So we need to sign a right winger to at least challenge him, or just swap him.
I'm a cynic, Paddy. A big part of me thinks that the groundwork is being laid here by FSG to justify selling Mohamed Salah if we miss out on the Champions League in order to potentially fund the Jude Bellingham deal. And it really annoys me, mate, because if we miss out on the Champions League and they try to use that as an excuse, in my opinion, John W. Henry and FSG will be the reason we miss out on the Champions League by their lack of investment in this window. So I don't like this pathway being laid for the excuses already.
But if it's the perfect alibi for them, they don't mind this. That's why they're not doing anything in January, which will have a knock-on effect of no Champions League, and then they have the perfect excuse for the summer, or so they believe. So yeah, we are in trouble with FSG, and the Bellingham is not going to come to this football club whilst they're owners. We know, as you said, for about a year or so now, if not longer, we know the links are legit. You know, he wants to come. There's, you know, the club wants him, but as you've always said, the caveat is if we pay the money. We're not paying that money. There's been talks today about Quivin Keller, our backup goalkeeper, being used as a fund receiver. You know, you use him to raise funds. What, 20 million? Like, it's a disgrace. We're acting like a Crystal Palace, and we are one of the biggest football clubs in the world, one of the most profitable clubs in the world. We should not have to act like this.
Over to you guys. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you agree with what myself and Paddy have said? Have you got a completely different stance on it? Let us know.